For once, I really don't have much that I can even think of saying on this video, but I'll just get to the point, I'll just get to the point. It's okay for men of any age, older specifically, to be emotional. It's a hard thing to turn off your feelings. It's just not how that works. But when you're asked to be efficient and able to do what you got to do, and cross your T's, dot your I's, all that kind of stuff. Although I said that backwards. the the funny thing I feel like with work specifically, since I had a video about work and how I felt like giving up, which, just to update that, there ain't no way I'm giving up. Shout out to Naruto Uzumaki. I'm not. They should give up on me giving up, even if it feels like there's reason to do so. I'm not going to be doing that. But the reason why I've made this video, or am trying to in the process over here, is that I've been very emotional basically since I lost my job on March 31st. What a great April Fool's joke the next day, that I had no work, no friends in my area, nothing. No support system. You had to be very self-sufficient. And as a grown man with a good head on his shoulders, I felt like I did a good job of doing that. But I'm man enough to admit that I have been very emotional, in tears. Maybe not sobbing or crying entirely, but I've been getting teary-eyed more than I would think of, because more in the last couple of weeks than I have the entire year. And it really stems from the fact that I feel very trapped and isolated, and I feel like there is very little that I could do about my circumstances, at least initially. Now I have a better perspective on it, to just continue to improve, continue to build upon things like any good sequel to a video game. You just build upon things and 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 build upon things. And I feel like I am in the process of doing that. Like old school Nintendo before they lost their fucking mind. I'm over here building, baby. I'm Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. And I'm fixing up for a good time. I'm fixing up for a good a good time. And you already know that's what we got to do. So when I go and I try to figure out what there is to be done, I realize that there is a lot to be done. And time waits for no man or woman or anybody else. But Lady Luck has a tendency to make my life harder. Not to say luck is entirely a part of it all the time. There's multiple things, many moving parts. But when I isolate it to one key specific thing, it really comes down to motivation and determination. And I have both in equal measure, in abundance. And it feels disingenuous to sit here and look at my camera and act like I am not able to eventually get myself out of whatever hole I feel like I've gotten myself into. When I look at my favorite shirt over here, brilliant but scary, shout out to Hermione Granger, is that, I am brilliant, but I could also be a little scary, I guess, because, I'm out here. Me? This guy right here? Nah. But I realize why I kind of laugh a little bit at that, because it's like, you know, to be brilliant is to inevitably be scary, because your brilliance can be used in equal measure in different ways, in different avenues of life. And I've always wanted, since I was a child, to express myself creatively and be the change I want to be, kind of thing. I remember when I was a child, I had thought, I was going to school one day, and I thought, it was one of those times where I was just really thinking about, since I was bullied in school and all that, and get in line, kid. Fact is that, I looked at it the day ahead of me, and I thought, you know, it's gonna have its rough patches, whatever it is, but my fear that I had when it came to dealing with things that I had to deal with or whatever was that I remember looking over at my mom as we were going to school. She was driving me there that day, and all that, and I was like, I told her the thing that I feared the most is basically being somebody that I can't recognize, like changing into somebody unrecognizable, basically. And I could understand why that fear is the case. It's the reason why Darth Vader is such a good villain. Just to kind of, you might be wondering what the fuck you talk about. I mean, because of the fact that it correlates, it connects. Being somebody unrecognizable to who you were previously is exactly what happened to Anakin Skywalker. He was a good little boy with a good heart from bad circumstances, was a slave and all that kind of stuff. And yet he changed into, unfortunately, somebody unrecognizable to what that good little boy was. And that's basically my fear. It was my fear of becoming somebody unrecognizable in that way. But my fear now is somewhat similar. It would be that I would stop caring about the change as it took place, which really is unfounded. It's unfounded because of the fact that, I am who I am, and we are who we choose to be every day. And there is a lot of struggles and trials and tribulations with life. Life can feel like it gets too hard. People that have it easy in life don't understand sometimes how hard life can be. Just getting up in the morning, just walking around and keeping yourself, positive, keeping yourself centered or balanced or whatever you want to use there. It's a very difficult thing to keep yourself going. Person to person sometimes. It could be easier, it could be harder, it depends. But for me, I feel like the reason why things have been so hard lately is just because I've felt so hopeless. I felt hopeless. I felt useless. I felt disgusted with myself. I felt a lot of things. I wasn't kind to myself. I can recognize that. And I could say that, just like I said at the beginning of this little video here, it's that it's okay for a man to be emotional. The reason why I felt so emotional and teary eyed and all this kind of stuff is because as I said to one of my friends a little while ago, it was I kept a barrier. I kept a little wall that I made from my deeper feelings, my deeper emotions, and it became quite difficult for me to really deal with that. Little things like my own mom being like, "Oh, well, talk like a normal person" or something like that. That kind of thing where she means well, but she says something where it's like, is there something wrong with the way I talk or something? That kind of thing. Or like if you go and you don't have any friends, or you did, or you do, but they're somewhere else. It's like, oh man, it'd be nice to have some more friends, but you realize that like being open to having that and putting yourself out there, nothing wrong with it. But a lot of people nowadays, especially nowadays, really don't want to put themselves out there. And it's understandable, like it's like when my friend was asking me, hey, like you're so sociable and all this kind of stuff, but you don't have any like friends. It's such a, contradiction basically. And I was thinking, oh yeah, yeah. But it's one of those things where you can't really help that. There are things that you can help and things that you can't help. If I saw somebody in need, I try to help them, within the best of my ability. Like if I see a homeless person and I can give them $1 or $5 or give them a pizza for Little Caesars or something, like my mom did that one time buying for somebody, like I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that, like it's one of those things. And it's okay to be emotional about something that you feel passionately about. I have felt over the course of my life that I have handled things pretty well when it comes to emotional situations, hard situations, lose lose situations, that kind of thing. Whatever situational awareness I needed, I felt like I had. And it didn't come down to being smartened up or very very intelligent like these business people said to me when they cut ties with me or whatever, like it is what it is at the end of the day. And it's okay to feel like you really need to get all your feelings out, and to, whether it's writing, which helps me, or whether it's video games or whatever, whatever you can that isn't dangerous or, gonna kill you or anything like that, is one I'd say is something to continue doing. It's like, my friend goes for hikes, and I know it's for his diet and stuff like that, and I support him, but I feel like if it's one of those things where it helps him mentally too, which possibly does, then I'd encourage him even more so, because it's okay to feel like you have had a rough go of it, and you just gotta unwind, you just gotta relax, you just gotta figure out ways to keep yourself going. And I feel like a lot of the problem that I've had is this empty pit in my stomach, in my chest. It felt like it was gnawing away at the goodness in my heart. It was gnawing away at my good intentions. And I felt like that ravenous, gluttonous, greedy, disgusting creature that I'd like to call my negative feelings at the time, and even more so more recently, it felt like I needed a way to kind of work around things and figure things out. And I feel like I have a good handle on things now. I have a good understanding of things more so now. And it's one of those things where I just never understood how bad it could get, because I tried so hard to keep the feelings at bay and keep them in a little corner over there that I could just visit every once in a while and sit in the chair, and we sit and across from each other, and we talk, and we're like, yeah, like this is the situation. But at the end of the day, it's okay for men to be emotional. I feel like oftentimes we are discouraged from having emotion, from having depth to our feelings that need to be addressed. And it's sad, because just as much as people preach about mental health, they oftentimes do not go the distance with those preaches, that preaching that they're doing. They never go to the church and continue with it. It feels like you gotta go to the confessional. You gotta talk, and you gotta confess to your sins. And if your sin is, wanting to discard your emotion for the sake of progression, then it is a double-edged sword. Though, would it be a sin? Who knows? But at the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword nonetheless. The problem that I have had can be summed up by saying, let yourself feel it. And you didn't let yourself feel it, and you should have. So I let myself feel things within the privacy of my own room, or maybe during maybe a longboard session of me just skating around, whatever it is. And I feel like there is a lot that you can do to help yourself. And it feels like I would be remiss to not preach about, or at least say, maybe not preach. I don't need to get my hands together and pray. But I mean, if it helps you, do it. But the fact is that I feel strongly about advocating for mental health, in the sense of, you want to take that time, whether it's just playing a video game, or your favorite game, or reading some fan fiction or something, whatever it is, whatever it is, to make you feel like things are okay, and things will be okay, because they will be. Make no mistake about it. They will be okay in some way, shape, or form. They will be okay, and it's good to remind yourself of that. So, I guess that's all I really have to say. I mean, I feel like there is more I guess I could say, but not really too much. And I just really wanted to make this video to really give myself some time to really talk into the camera and talk about this, because it feels like even if a person sees this for a minute I don't know, 30 seconds or whatever, they at least are like, wow, that was all right. Maybe I'll go back to the video. Either way, it is what it is. It's no, no biggie to me. Fact is that I feel very strongly about wanting to find ways to give back to people in that way of like say and what do I mean? I mean like, just taking the time to stress the fact that it's okay to be emotional and sad, just as long as you're not lashing out at people. And if you are, or you're biting people's heads off or whatever, then you take the time to fix that. You take the time to address that. We're only human. We're not machines. We're not AI produced products. We are not, just automatons. We are not any of these things. We are not cyborgs. Shout out to Cyborg from Teen Titans, booyah. We're not any of those things. But we can give 110, 120% to being the best we can be. And I feel like everybody should at least try to do that within their own means. Happiness is not a fleeting emotion all the time, low as I would be to feel that way sometimes. It is a destination that you can live in. Happiness is a place that you can stay and live in and grow old and have a good life. And I feel like I believe in that because I've had to believe in that. So, whatever you are feeling today, tomorrow, the next day, whether you see none of this or some of it, practice your mental health. Take some time to yourself. Talk to somebody or watch videos that you enjoy, whatever hobbies you enjoy, do all of these things. And if you ever feel alone, just know that you are not alone. There are more people that are feeling the way that you feel and just don't know how to deal with it and hopefully figure it out than there are that aren't. There will always be somebody, at least hopefully, and I'd say genuinely I believe so, that there will always be somebody that is willing to listen. Finding that person, a little more difficult, but there will always be somebody. And I always try to be that somebody for people that I care about. And I take pride in that. So, again, it's okay to be emotional. Men out there, it's okay. It's okay. You'll be okay. We'll be okay. We'll be okay.